We had 86 kids sign up from day one. And when we geared back up and talked to all the parents, we had like 4 kids that said that they weren't gonna, their parents said no, not this year. It means a lot. As you saw this morning, we had a tremendous support, outpouring of the neighborhood. It means a lot to me because we're bringing back this community. We're bringing back what has been here for over 50 years.
Keeping everybody's, distance apart. Kids at that age, they want to play with each other. So it's kind of, I coach T-ball, so you got 4 and 5-year-olds. So that it's kind of hard really to keep the kids apart because, they want to interact with each other. Coming back, just seeing the smile on the kid's face, man, that alone for me is satisfaction. Seeing how much fun a kid has. I know how much fun I had when I played baseball, so I can only imagine how much fun they're having.
But the main thing, what I told my team, I said it's a game. Go out there and have fun.
It's been a long wait. I got 5 kids playing 3 different teams. It's 12 years I've been doing it, so yeah, it was a long wait. And everybody was like, we don't think it's going to happen, and it did. And yeah, we're back to play.
The kids are adapting to the new safety requirements. Now that every time we take a break, we have to give them hand sanitizer and stuff like that, like wipe them off, so like that. And then on top of it, they can't use the same bat and helmet, so we have to give them their own bats and helmets so they won't use the same as anyone else, so they won't get the risk of catching anything.
Normally I play second base, but I can also play shortstop, center field, sometimes right field. I'm definitely excited to see my friends again, especially with COVID. Just kind of being here, it's just been hard to come in contact with anyone, basically.
If you've been around anyone that's been sick, we gotta just constantly keep reminding each other to be safe. It's hard. I think our instinct is to kind of be a little bit closer than 6 feet, but just constantly reminding, and it's good to be aware of wearing masks and just keeping a distance. Well, I think there's a learning curve. The boys are keeping social distancing in the dugouts, and we can't bring food in the dugouts. And what I like is at the end of the games, they kind of tip their hat to each other rather than high-fiving. But the essence of baseball is there, but definitely do miss some of the traditions of it. Well, I just love the sounds of it. Kids just having fun. It seems like in baseball, the boys just have a lot of fun. There's always fooling around kind of stuff. Just the sounds of the ball hitting the bat, sounds of the ball landing in a glove, and the sound of kids just having fun. It's a beautiful sound.
We acted pretty quickly, and we worked very, very hard to create a set of protocols that we felt comfortable with as an organization. And part of those protocols were clearly put in line with the mandates by the government and the governor and the CDC. We wanted to make sure that first and foremost that if we were going to train and then if we were going to play, that we were going to do it in the most safe way possible for our membership, and that's the players and the families and the coaches and staff, because we're all interconnected with all of this. Obviously, when you're dealing with exposure, you're dealing with a player that is tested positive versus a family member versus a friend. When you're dealing with staff or a staff's spouse or staff's friend, there's all these variables, and there's all these, you get into situations where it's the person that's active, or it's once removed or twice removed, when the exposure was, how long the exposure was from ago. And so we have all these things that we put in place, but generally we follow our protocols. And if a player is directly tested positive, and they've been in contact at training, so they've been with the team for 1 or 2 practices, more than likely that team is going to be shut down for 2 weeks for the safety of the group, and the player would be required to test negative twice with COVID tests, and or they could return 14 days past their last symptom of COVID. Soccer is 5 weeks back. I think that lacrosse may be a little bit longer, 6 weeks, 7 weeks back. Lacrosse actually had some games this last weekend where they went up and played in the Maryland area, so they're already competing. But our first 2 phases of protocols of training was maximum social distance. Players didn't get anywhere near each other. They were wearing masks when they entered the field. They were allowed to take their masks off to train. Coaches were wearing masks, staying I was encouraging at least like 20 yards, 15 yards away from their players. They were mostly only doing technical work, which means, passing the ball, working on little skills. And we basically went into 2 weeks of phases, and we are now in phase 3, which now matches phase 3 of what's going on in Virginia under their guidelines, which is allowing some playing. We've really continued to encourage social distancing. We've encouraged social distancing during practice, like at breaks. They are to be at least 10 feet away from each other. We want everybody to spread out. We don't want players walking together on the facility. We're trying to be as safe as possible for our membership, but also we want to be able to have a functioning practice, so to speak.